We're currently in the middle of the Esports World Cup, and after watching some of it, I did have questions. Who is funding all of this, why are they doing it, and why is Mobile Legends Bang Bang so popular? The inaugural Esports World Cup involves 21 prominent game titles, from Fortnite, Call of Duty, Rainbow Six Siege to Dota 2. The event brings together top gaming pros and esports clubs from around the globe to compete for glory, and the huge prize pool of $60+ million is what's being advertised across the range of tournaments, with money being distributed to all the different titles, alongside an overall team championship, and even a slice of the prize pool being offered as MVP awards. As usual, there's more to the story than just the amount of prize money and the celebration of esports. There is a darker side to Saudi Arabia, marked by justified accusations of human rights violations. These issues include severe restrictions on freedom of expression, gender inequality, and harsh treatment of LGBTQ+ individuals. In recent years, Saudi Arabia has attempted to cement its name in the football and boxing scenes, with eye-wateringly big investments raising concerns about a practice known as sports washing. Definition states that sports washing is when countries or companies use big sports events to cover up their controversies and make themselves look better in the eyes of the public. In this case, essentially, it's how much money can we throw at things to make people forget their morals? The short answer is around $60 million. We'll attempt to break down how this happens, if it's working, and what this means for the gaming world. So stick around as we take a look and uncover the hidden side of the Esports World Cup. One of the big selling points of this tournament is the monumental prize pool. There's $60 million up for grabs. This is, of course, hugely appealing for esports clubs, as running a team is often comically unprofitable. For example, Giants of Europe, G2, earned around £30 million, but still reported a £2 million loss in 2023. Before this, teams primarily relied on sponsors and investors for funding. So why is there so much money being offered? This can be traced back to a project launched in 2016 called Vision 2030. The main aim of Vision 2030 is to diversify Saudi Arabia's economy by attracting local and international investors and establishing the country as a prominent global leader. The main reason that they've actually been doing this is because they don't want to be quite as dependent on the oil industry with the way that the world is headed. We've already seen the impact of Saudi investments in football and boxing, with high-profile players like Ronaldo making the move to Saudi Arabia. Attending a major international event like the Esports World Cup provides teams with massive global exposure, helping them build their brand and fan base. This exposure is crucial for attracting sponsors and growing their market presence within esports. Due to the massive prize pool, teams are incentivized to enter as many events as possible. The prize pool breakdown is as follows. The advertised $60 million is split into around $30 million for the game championships, with at least $1 million for each title, $20 million for the club championships, where the highest ranking team across all games will take home around $7 million. Additionally, there are prizes offered to qualifiers and $1.1 million in MVP awards. So enough talk about the numbers. Where exactly is the money coming from? The tournament, which is run by the Esports World Cup Foundation, is funded by Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, which is estimated at a whopping $988 billion. Let's call it a valuation of about $1 trillion. Further estimates suggest the revenue for the fund in 2023 alone was $90 billion, meaning the enticing $60 million prize pool is just a drop in a very large ocean. As mentioned earlier, the entire event is part of Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 plan, making it a strategic investment. In other words, they see themselves losing money from this, but trust us, it'll be worth it in the long run. Now, was this investment worthwhile for the Saudis? It's difficult to judge. Let's take a closer look at other sporting investments made by them, particularly in football. Over the past few years, Saudi Arabia has invested an estimated $5 billion in football, with the most notable being Ronaldo's move to Saudi club Al Nassr on December 30th, 2022. It's hard to argue that this level of investment hasn't paid off, with the Saudi Prime Minister stating that these investments helped increase the country's GDP by 1%, and that he hopes for more growth from the sector. If you were a skeptic, you might doubt this claim. However, studies tried to estimate the impact of Ronaldo's acquisition on the Saudi Pro League. On average, Ronaldo helped fill an additional 20% of seats in his home team stadium when he played, 15% in the stadiums that he visited, and 3% in the stadiums where he wasn't even playing. Despite this, the Saudi Pro League spent $957 million or £749 million on new players in the summer window, but the new signings have not had the same effect on attendances, with the league's average attendance dropping around 10% from last season to just 8,321. In this case, it seems like a far from ideal investment, and the claims of sports washing aren't seeming so far-fetched. If we break down the Esports World Cup, or EWC, by views and watch time, it has been confirmed that the tournament has amassed 100 million hours watched so far. Competitions for games like Mobile Legends Bang Bang and League of Legends have been among the most popular, with these titles being the only ones to surpass 1 million peak viewers. Achieving 100 million hours watched, the EWC has become just the fourth event to reach this milestone this year. The top spot is currently held by the Valorant Masters Championship in Madrid from March, which, despite offering a much smaller prize pool of 250k for the champions Sentinels, received record numbers of viewers and over 240 million hours watched, the highest this year. The absence of Valorant from the EWC seems to be a significant blow to the total viewership of the event. If you were to measure the success of the tournaments by the number of viewers, then compared to the Valorant Masters Championship, the EWC is not performing well, especially given the difference in monetary investment. This disparity raises questions over the effectiveness of such a high prize pool and whether it's achieving its intended goals of boosting viewership and engagement. Critics of the EWC have argued that Saudi Arabia is using the Esports World Cup to distract from its poor human rights record. In other words, sports washing. As recently as 2018, Saudi Arabia faced heavy criticism due to the events that happened regarding the death of a US-based journalist and critic of Saudi Arabia's government. Other severe issues relate to LGBT rights and women's rights, another area Saudi doesn't seem to excel at by Western standards at least. Anyone remember seeing that plan for the giant city, the one built across a desert that got plastered all over social media? Well, that was another chilling example of Saudi rights issues. Further issues arose with investigative reports stating that for the project to be realised, Saudi authorities have illegally displaced local tribes without adequate compensation or offering alternative housing, and violently cracked down on members of the tribe who peacefully opposed or resisted eviction. This definitely isn't the best look. This has led to teams boycotting the event due to safety concerns and ethical considerations, with teams, specifically TL, who did not choose to boycott facing big backlash for their attendance. The esports community is clearly divided over the issue of the Esports World Cup. While some see the investment as a necessary boost for a struggling industry, others believe it compromises ethical standards. The community has expressed discomfort with the idea of associating with a country known for human rights violations. Nonetheless, the EWC has provided teams worldwide with the opportunity to compete for one of the largest monetary prizes in esports history. Although the tournament might run at a financial loss, it's hard to argue that this investment won't attract new viewers and potentially revitalise the esports scene, which would offer a chance to reverse the industry's current decline. So what do you think? Is it a necessary evil in the esports industry, or is it justified to boycott the event? Do let us know down below.